don't need the, I'll give you this light. Yeah, don't worry about it. Just do the lifting and the band.
Oh, yeah?
Okay, I think we're good now.
Okay.
Restart it. Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach. So good to have you tonight at our services. Cantor, Mike and I, and Bruce and Joanne. We're delighted to welcome you into the Shir Shalom sanctuary. Luckily we did that as opposed to our normal park and pray, because if we had been outside we would have gotten very wet. There's a very funny story in the Talmud that I always enjoyed about Sukkot, which talked about what happens when it rains on Sukkot. If you know about Israel, there's a dry season and a rainy season. They don't have these 4 seasons like we do. So the rainy season, it rains. In the dry season, it never rains. And Sukkot is positioned right in that perfect moment that it's only at the end of the holiday that you might get a few drops, and we'll say the special blessing for rain. During Sukkot, it's not supposed to rain, except when we move to Galut, when we move to the diaspora, when we live in places like Buffalo, where it usually rains on Sukkot. And in the Talmud, they have a funny discussion about this, about what happens. What does it mean if it rains on Sukkot? And they compare it to the story of being at a restaurant, and you're sitting there, and the waiter is serving you, and instead of putting your water down in your place, the waiter dumps it on your head. That is the experience of Sukkot if it rains. That's only in the Holy Land, not here. But I think I like that story. It shows the sense of humor that they have. But regardless, this is a festival holiday. It's supposed to rain. It's the way it's supposed to be. And so we predicted that earlier today through weather.com, and here we are. But we're really delighted to have you here with us, wherever you are. If you want to write in where you are, that's wonderful. We're going to wish you a Chag Sameach, a happy holiday. This is our joyous season, and you're going to see through the service a lot of the melodies of the holiday. We're going to have the Lulav and Etrog, and we're going to really experience and try to have joy even here in this moment, in the sanctuary, without you present with us. So I am going to invite someone over who is present, which is our synagogue president, Bruce Chorus, to offer our welcome.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome, and happy Sukkot. We're in that little high holy day hangover period where we've been through so much in the last couple of weeks, but we still have holidays to celebrate. We have Sukkot this week, we have Simchat Torah next week, and we will be here celebrating all of them. As the rabbi mentioned, our sukkah is set up outside. Very different this year, but very usable during COVID. I do want to say thank you again to everyone for everything that you did to make our High Holy Days so special. From all of you who came to the drive-in, we had, as I mentioned, probably the largest in-person High Holy Day gathering in the country. Little Congregation Church Shalom in Little Buffalo. We did something truly special, and that's something I know that I will always remember, and I'm sure many of you will as well. So I want to thank you for all of that. And even as we wrapped up on Monday night for our final shofar blast and Havdalah, no one wanted to leave. It was the neatest thing for those of you that were here in the parking lot. It seemed like no one wanted to go home. Some of you even set up tables and chairs next to your car and did the break fast. Someone brought a jar of herring and did that for their break fast right here in our parking lot, which was kind of cool. So anyway, we have a wonderful Sukkot service for tonight. We're festive. The bima is decorated. I'll tell you who did it later on, and you'll be surprised. And I'll be back with a full slate of activities, including a very special fundraiser coming up tomorrow. Walk Off Hunger is back, and it's back at Temple. So I'll have more information on that later in the service. And again, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Do you want me to stay for candles?
So Bruce, you'll stay right where you are. Bruce came prepared. First of all, we are using the Mishkan Tefilla. So if you have the High Holy Day books, bring them back here. You're not going to need them for another year.
And by the way, my mic is working tonight. Everyone last week said, your mic's not working. I said, yeah, the rabbi and cantor don't like my jokes. They clipped me deliberately. But the matches have not been working. I'm prepared this week.
Right. This time we went in the back. We made sure that Bruce would be prepared. We're looking at a different section of the book for the holiday. We're on page 384 for the candle lighting. And Bruce is going to be lighting the candles. As he says, he's playing Vanna. If you don't know the reference, Vanna White from that wonderful Wheel of Fortune, which everyone loves. So we're going to, Cantor will recite the blessing for Shabbat and Yom Tov.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kirshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu leharifnem shel Shabbat v'shel Yom Tov.
Wherever you are lighting your candles, blessed are these matches that will lead us way into Shabbat, into the holy festival of Sukkot. And we have a special Kiddush as well, which is on page 386.
You didn't tell me that.
Oh, yeah, we need you to still play Vanna, right?
Okay.
I don't know, Cantor, this has a special melody, so I'm going to defer to Cantor, who knows these melodies so well. So page 386 for our Sukkot Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'am, v'romemanu mikol hasham, v'kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav, v'titem lanu Adonai Eloheinu b'ahava, Shabbatot limnucha, u'moadim l'simcha, chagim u'zmanim l'sason, et yom ha'shabbat hazeh, v'et yom ha'sukkot hazeh, zeman simchatenu mikra kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, ki fadu b'chatu v'etanu kedasha mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat u'moadi kodshecha, ve'ahava uvratzon, ve'simcha u'v'sason, hinchatanu, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha'shabbat, v'Yisrael, v'hazemanim.
L'chaim, to life. Thank you,
You ready
Bruce.
to do that, Bruce? You gonna do that next week?
No.
Just so you know, as Cantor was going through that, you might have heard her pause a little bit because this prayer is quite a prayer. Basically what happens is on the holiday we have to add in the holiday that coincides with Shabbat. You add in all these extra words. So it requires a little bit of gymnastics to make it through, and I think she did superbly there. We are going to, right, Cantor, would you say? It's a little trickier.
Oh yeah, in fact it was funny, I was trolling Facebook and there was a cantor that said, oh by the way everybody, one of these cantor sites, oh by the way everybody, don't forget, not only do you have the Sukkot inserts, but you also have all the Shabbat inserts, and in case you haven't, reminded yourself since last year, here it is. So the gentleman very beautifully sang it all, and I listened with, half an ear and saying, oh yeah, there you go, there you go. So I'm glad he reminded me, because I might have forgotten. You never know, you go on automatic pilot.
It's so true. Well, I've been known to be up here and do for Hamotzi, to do Brei Priyagatha. It's very easy to do. But you'll notice it is a little bit different tonight. We don't have L'Chadodin. That's because on a festival, it's a little bit different on Shabbat. We go right to the Baruch Hu, so we're going to have our call of community on page 394. Look around wherever you are and notice who's there, your community there, and you're part of our virtual community here. Before Cantor goes, I did receive word from my wife that Facebook, those of you watching on Facebook, it might be in and out a little bit, and we're so sorry about that. We don't have much control. You can certainly switch over to the regular stream that's available on our website, the details of it. So our call to community, page 394. Standing on page 400 for the Shema. Be seated. We'll continue with the V'ahavta on page 402.
Vidi Barta Lecha, Uftavta, Amizuzot Betecha, Uvishabrecha, Leman, Tizkeru, Va'asita, Ekol Mitzvotai, Vitam Kiddushim, L'Reichem, Ani, Adonai Elechem, Hashem, Hotzeiti Etchem, V'Eretz Mitzrayim, Yonathem Elohim, Ani, Adonai Elohechem.
So, Cantor, I noticed that we have different dialects when it comes to this prayer.
I know.
You know, it's so funny. It's almost like different accents. So I always say v'ahavta. How do you pronounce that?
Ve'ahavta. Because of the tropes are so demanding, you must follow the tropes, because they drill that in your head in cantorial school.
Well, it's definitely more precise than, you know, I feel like I have like an Easterner's accent with it somehow. I never, you know, my kids always make fun, you know, there's certain words like water, right? You know that I'm from Philadelphia because I say water. So there must be something to the viahavta, or I'm gonna learn it just like you do. You're gonna teach me. I know.
Well, mine is like textbook cantorial school.
Yeah.
And yours is a little reconstructionist, a little bit Buffalo, a little bit Reform. It's like a basket of plenty, or a horn of plenty.
Yeah, no, it's so funny. It really, like, if you're a little detective with these things, I know Harvey Horowitz is great at picking up on the little discrepancies in how we say things. And but I'd love to do some research on that. So we're going to think about that theme of love that's in the Viahavta, page 409. I think we're going to try to do this on the guitar. Okay, 409.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
I heard Mike lead that one. That's
Yeah, well, he had about 10 minutes to learn it today.
incredible.
Poor
That's
Paul
amazing.
was supposed to be here, and he had a problem, so I grabbed Mike from his office. I said, Mike, you're coming tonight. So it was very, very gracious of you to step into my
Well, I never would have known for a minute that you just learned that. It's beautiful. We're going to turn to our Tefilla, and we're going to do it silently. Our Tefilla begins on page 468 to 493. Just apologies again. I know that our Facebook feed isn't doing too well. I would encourage you to try out YouTube. Hopefully it's a little bit better on that. So I invite you to rise, page 468, and take time for your own private prayers. And whenever you're ready, you may be seated.
They say that the world is like my Sukkot, 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 Shabbat. It's fragile and frail, so please heed my call. Sukkot, Sukkot, Shabbat. Sukkot, Sukkot, Shalom. Sukkot, Shabbat. Sukkot, Sukkot, Shalom. Sukkot, Sukkot, Shabbat. Lulav etrog in fruits of the fall. Sukkot, Sukkot, Shabbat. It stars through the branches. I'm 10 feet tall. Sukkot, Sukkot, Shabbat. Sukkot, Sukkot, Shalom. Sukkot, Sukkot, Shabbat. Sukkot, Sukkot, Shalom. Sukkot, Sukkot, Shabbat.
So Cantor is very modest, but that's her published song. And she's sung it here since she arrived in Buffalo. I think she wrote it a number of years ago. It's really beautiful, and I think it's part of the staple of Shir Shalom now. Did you want to share a little bit about how that came about?
Well, I was pressed to find Sukkot songs, and then I just got to work. I had some obligation that I needed to have something nice for Sukkot, and I couldn't really find anything except in the older traditions or very, very, very young early education. And then I performed it for the congregation. Everybody loved it. And then there was a competition, there was a new publication for Transcontinental, and I sent it in, and it was accepted. So, yeah.
Now you're famous.
Well, actually, there was one time at a cantorial convention. I sat down at a table, and I sat next to a gentleman, a fellow cantor, and I said, "Hi, my name is," and he said, "Hi, my name is," and he said, "Oh, Sukkot Shalomecha." And I was like, ah! Oh, my royalty checks. Still get them in every once in a while.
Well,
There's a lot of money to make in Jewish music, let me tell you.
Right.
25 cents, $1.47.
Cantor's being a little sarcastic there, but I think the beauty when you write something, you put it out there in the world. You never know. I know Cantor's contacted a bunch of people about their music and used it, and years from now, someone will call and say, "Oh, where's that Cantor Arlene Frank? Because I'd love to use that in my service."
It's good to have something that carries on beyond you. That's kind of like what we do, our jobs are. A lot of the things that we do is beyond us, and we never know where it goes exactly and who it affects.
It's very, very true. So we're going to just change course to think about healing. There's a lot of us in our community that are in need of extra prayers. And it's good to just be present and to say those prayers. I am going to read our list of names. The prayer itself, the Mishaberach, we have it also on page 511. All the pages are a little different because of Sukkot. We're thinking in our community of Sally Anderson, Sheila Benetovich, Ellen Bernstein, who's doing quite well actually, Paul Burkow, Ed Berger, Gloria Berzone, Neil Burstein, Sheila Chaitkow, Rochelle Cordiero, Glorine Curtis, Gabe Ferber, Don Galinsky, Carolyn Grosser, Ernie Grosser, Howard Hilfstein, Oliver Scott Hummiger, Myra Horowitz, Karen Hauser, Faith Jacoby, Rob Liederman, Marcy Leonard, Melanie McLeod, Jennifer Milich, Fern Middleman, Ida Neveler, Larry Perlitz, Ernie Sapatelli, Barbara Scher, Sandy Seidel, Sherry Scott, Christopher Smith, Jake James Stevenson, Eleanor Weiss, Deborah Bott Sherwood. And we're going to add President Trump and Melania Trump as well. And so many others. I encourage you to either write in, say the name, speak it in your heart. If it's you, say your own name. We're going to take all those names in our heart as we sing the Mishaberach. Healing of body and soul. We send so many prayers out to you or all those that you love, thinking about you. Please contact our synagogue office and let Nancy know if you have people that you're thinking about on your list, or if you want someone removed from the list as well because they're doing better. We always love to hear that as well. So, Chag Sameach, Shabbat Shalom. Now, a long time before Cantor and Mike arrived here in Buffalo, it was about 10 years ago, I think, at this point, right around this time of the year, the spotlight was on Buffalo. People all over the world were watching Buffalo, and they were tuned into Niagara Falls, where a very thin wire was over the falls, and Nick Wallenda, the very famous tightrope walker that I got to see in person in Atlantic City a number of years ago, walked across the falls. I don't know if Cantor, did you see that? I'm not sure if you saw that. That was before.
I remember hearing about it, but I never could have imagined at the time that I'd be living so close to the falls.
Yeah, it's such a strange thing when someone else, someplace else becomes your home, and you saw something about it, and suddenly you're there. But I remember that moment, and I remember thinking probably what 99% of you out there were thinking. I would never do that. Never in a million years. I actually had a chance about 20 years or so ago to jump out of a plane. I had a group of friends that had decided this was a brilliant idea. $100, we could go down and jump out of a plane. And I said, no, thank you. I think, my friends came back and they said, yeah, they made you watch a video that said you could die in this. And then they made you sign all the forms for about an hour before. And then you went out and jumped with someone in tandem. There's something about an actual dangerous experience, like Nick Wallenda going across the falls with no protection, and one that I much prefer, which is a dangerous experience, something that feels dangerous, but is not actually dangerous. Perhaps the best example of this is a roller coaster ride. My kids love roller coasters, and I would say that they're pretty safe. If they weren't safe, they'd be shut down. But while you're going down at those incredible speeds, you can feel that sense of danger. And Sukkot is a holiday where there is that sense of danger. We're meant to feel as if we're walking across Niagara Falls, when in fact, we're just in our yard under a sukkah. There's something about the wind and the rain and the crashing, kind of like when we were up there on Transit Drive. I hope it wasn't actually dangerous. I've never read a sermon with 30-mile-per-hour winds, and I'm sure Cantor feels the same way, that she never had to sing the High Holy Day melodies almost blown off the roof there. There were a couple of moments, I have to confess, when I was feeling a little Yom Kippur vortex there, and I thought to myself, I really don't want to get close to that edge of that roof to even see if I feel a little faint here. So Sukkot is one of those holidays that you're supposed to feel that. Because I think we want to feel that sense of danger, because there is danger in life. It's like we're preparing ourselves. And on Sukkot, we're right there at the edge of winter, at the edge in Israel, which is the rainy season that would be starting. And we don't know if we're going to have food. We don't know if we're going to make it to the other side. We certainly feel that in Western New York with the winter approaching. There's a sense of trepidation that we're supposed to feel, that's part of it. This year, of course, it's heightened. We all feel that sense of our own mortality just staring us in the eye wherever we go, whenever we see Mass. There's just that sense that we're really not that far away, no matter what age we are. And it really changes the equation of Sukkot itself. As we were talking about our sukkah and planning for it, and the Brain Trust, luckily I'm not among them that has to figure out how to actually put up our sukkah. I'm very thankful for those that do, led by Dan Kester. And they were talking, what do we do? In some ways, a sukkah is the perfect holiday. It's open air. The roof is meant to be porous so you can look up at the sky. But our sukkah, like so many sukkahs that there are, is closed in. So if we're in there, our air is still relatively stagnant, relatively trapped. So we were talking right before Yom Kippur to try to decide what should we do. And at one point we thought, well, maybe we shouldn't have a sukkah at all. But we kept doing that. We kept talking because we wanted a sense of the holiday. It would be sad not to have our sukkah. And what we came upon is something I like to call our pandemica. See, Bruce liked the joke. It could also be coronica or covidica. It's up to you. And that is a sukkah that we developed, which is probably something we would never have at any time, which is a sukkah that only has the frame. It has the top and then a frame. And it's a vivid reminder of this time. Looking around the web and looking at different colleagues, people were forced to make similar decisions. And I saw a couple of really creative ones, because our sukkah, according to the rabbis, you have to have 2.5 walls. And we certainly don't even have one wall in there. So it doesn't count as an actual sukkah. It's more symbolic this year. But there actually, I saw a number of really creative efforts. And if I could actually build, if I was like Dan Kester, maybe I'd try to do this. One of them was a sukkah that would go on a car. It was 3-sided. You're allowed to have 2.5, 3 sides, completely open. And it was a sukkah that traveled in this like little truck that could go. Have sukkah, we'll travel. I love that idea. The other idea that I saw that I really liked was they took down, so the walls, it was as if there was windows, open windows all around. So they folded down their tarp or whatever they were using as the walls, and so that it had half of it open so that the air could come through. I thought that was great. COVID has really forced us to take our normal rituals and figure out new ones. There's something dangerous, something wonderful, and hopefully not death-defying, but gives us that sense of being alive, like being on the transit roof. So if you did attempt to build your sukkah, good for you. Be safe in it. If it's just your family, it's fine. Come visit ours. I think this is a rare opportunity. Hopefully we never will have to build a sukkah purposefully without walls. Come, take a picture in it. It's really very raw. It's a reminder of the year that we're living in, that we're in the middle of a pandemic. And it might never happen again. If you do come by, we have our lulavs and etrogs, which I have here. We were hoping to do it tonight outside in our park and pray. It did work out. We have a number of them. I think we have 4 lulavs and etrogs, and we have a couple here in our sanctuary. So we're going to turn to Hallel, which is the traditional prayer for Sukkot. That is on page 560. It's a prayer that we use any time that we're happy, and there is no happier holiday than Sukkot. So I'm going to turn it over to Cantor to lead us in the opening blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu, likro et ha'halel.
Praise to you, Adonai, our God, servant of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to sing the hymns of praise. And we're going to turn to the one hymn, one of our shortest hymns, which is really connected to the waving of the lulav, page 565. For those of you not familiar, this is a harvest ritual. We have the palm, we have the willow, and we have the myrtle. Combined with the citron, or the etrog, this is our central ingredients to the holiday, and we tend to shake these in all different directions. So as Cantor leads us in one of the melodies of Hodu Ladonai, I'm going to be shaking this all around. If you want to stand and pretend to shake your own one, please do it. If you have an actual one, that'd be wonderful. I'm going to say our blessing over the lulav, which is all lulav and etrog, all netilat lulav. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tivanu, all netilat lulav, on the waving of the lulav. And I'll turn it over to Cantor as I'll wave these in all directions. Beautiful. Oh, I wish you could smell this etrog. It smells like Sukkot, a beautiful lemon smell. And the beautiful thing about the etrog is it never goes bad. It's wonderful. We can put it in our ark, and it will be a reminder of this harvest holiday for time to come. And the lulav, not so lucky. This doesn't work so well over the course of the holiday, but we get to see the fragility, the frailty of life with all the different parts and sections of Israel as a reminder, and we pray for a beautiful harvest. So we're going to turn now to the end of our prayers, where we'll stand like a lulav on page 586 for the Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabbat l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה מיוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו קהל, וגורלנו ככל העולם, אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 591.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, היום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
You may be seated. We're going to be turning to the Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. And there was a number of deaths recently. We actually learned the tragic death of Steve Barnes, the lawyer from the area. So our thoughts and prayers are with his family. How terrible. We also had the death just today of William Mahaney. There will be, that's the husband of Deborah and father of Michaela. There will be a funeral service on Monday. Details will be sent out, and just we're so terribly bereft for the Mahaney family. Bill was a terrific guy and a very, very sad loss. We're also remembering Ellie Ruckstein, Ed Schunk Sr., the father of Ed Schunk, David Schwartz, Phyllis Siegel, and David Sievers, all who passed in the last week. Our thoughts and prayers are with their families. On our Shloshim list, those who passed in the last month, we're remembering Donald Alcock, Grace Bluestone, Donald Cornell, Gladys Gruenweld, Pam Harrisberg, Jay Rosenthal, Clarice Sis Snitzer. And on our yard site list from years past, we remember Nat Bagel, Stanley Bardak, Brian Bernard, Philip Blatt, Jeffrey Capro, Warren J. Caviar, Mildred Engel, Ralph Epstein, Regina Faden, Catherine Falk, William Finkelstein, Molly Foreman, Marshall Levy Glickman, Zelda Goldenberg, Fred Gross, Estelle Himmelstein, Edward Hyman, Mary Eisenberg, Bert Kremer, Eva Lashaw, David Levy, Herman Rosenthal, Louis Russlander, Macy Savatsky, Chuck Shepard, Tammy Esther Siegel, Joseph Simon, Saul Sloan, Joseph Stolberg, Morris Taxon, Ruth Taxon, Leonard Teplitsky, Frank Trippy, and Herman Umoff. Those of you, if you have other names, please say them out loud, or write them if you're able to write them on social media. We invite all those whose custom it is to rise, page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, b'yalma divra firate b'yamlik malchute, b'chayachon v'yamachon b'chayed echol beit Yisrael, b'agala v'zman kariv yimru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah barach le'olam umei omaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudashah b'rechu le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata damiran v'yalma v'yimru amen. Yehi shlam rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom v'yimramav hu yaseh shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol Yoshvei Tevel v'yimru amen. May the one who creates harmony and high bring peace to us, to all Israel, to all the world, and we say, Amen. Zikranam livracha. May their memories be for a blessing. I'd like to invite up Bruce Chorus again to give the announcements.
Shabbat Shalom again, everyone, and Chag Sameach. And thank you to special Bima decorator Kyle Burt filling in this year. He did a great job. He didn't grow the gourds like Marina and Robin usually do. He had to find them in bins, but the Bima looks great. We thank Kyle for filling in. He cleans, he decorates. He's a very valuable employee. Mazel tov to Daniel Butler and his family on his upcoming bar mitzvah later this evening. Thank you, of course, to Rabbi Alex Cantor Frank and emergency fill-in Mike Frank, stepping in or sitting in and helping us out for a really fun and very meaningful service in honor of Shabbat and Sukkot. I didn't know that that was your song. Mazel tov on that. 25-cent royalties, really? Cool. You can buy a cup of coffee every once in a while.
It's in a big compendium, so everybody gets a fraction of a penny.
Got
There's
it.
like 400 songs in there, or 300 songs, for synagogue use.
Well, cool. That's still very neat. It's more royalties than he gets, so. Please note that next Friday night, our service, weather permitting, will be a park and pray at 6 o'clock, live stream via Boxcast. Fingers crossed that we return to our high holy day weather luck, and we're back outside here in the parking lot. Fingers crossed on that one. Tomorrow morning, Torah study at 9 a.m., Shabbat morning service, virtual Kiddush luncheon at 11. Both are available from Zoom. Go to the website for the links. Rite Aid is sponsoring a flu shot clinic here at Temple from Sunday to Sunday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. If you're interested in attending, please RSVP to Joanne. Rabbi mentioned earlier, special thank you to Dan Kester and the men's group for building our sukkah this year, COVID style. I like COVIDica. I think that's the best one of the bunch. Anyway, the guys did a great job, and please stop by and check out the sukkah. You can check it out Tuesday when you're here for the Shabbatas. We're having our next Shabbatas this Tuesday from 4 to 7 or until sold out. Be sure to get on the website in advance and order your dinner so you can save a little money and be sure that you get one. If you borrowed High Holy Day prayer books, there is now a nice plastic bin, weatherproof bin, outside our main entrance. It's clearly marked. You can drop your books off anytime. There's also a pad and paper inside the bin, so you can write your names down so we can keep track of who will not have to atone for not returning their High Holy Day prayer books this year. We just want to make sure we get them all back. We're also, of course, continuing our High Holy Day food drive, so please drop off a bag of non-perishable food if you're here at the temple. Speaking of food, tomorrow morning, this is really exciting, Walk Off Hunger is back where it all began. The original route for the walk began and ended here in our parking lot. Tomorrow, and then the following Saturday, Feedmore is doing a bunch of meetup locations for Walk Off Hunger, and one of them is right here, which is really, really cool. We'll be here tomorrow from 10 a.m. until noon. If you haven't registered yet, you can still register tomorrow morning, or you can go online and do it. You can make a donation and bring food. We'll have a couple of food barrels out there so we can continue our High Holy Day food drive through Walk Off Hunger. And again, tomorrow at 10 a.m., between 10 and 12, the following Saturday between 10 and 12. Emails have gone out to the congregation with information about how to register and how to donate. If you have any questions, please give me a holler. And again, I'll be here tomorrow morning. If you need anything at all, please feel free to reach out to the rabbi, the cantor, Joanne, or myself. We are always here for you. Shabbat Shalom, Hag Sameach, and thank you again for being part of the congregation Shir Shalom family.
And thank you, Bruce, for all you did. It was so wonderful to get a call from you today. It was wonderful. So we're going to turn to one of the traditions of Sukkot is to read from Ecclesiastes, and Cantor has picked out one of the most famous sections, Turn, Turn, Turn. It can be found in your prayer book on page 665.
So apparently I made a little typo. It's run the opposing page, 664. So
Well, Ecclesiastes, he would be...
for those of you that are on a digital book, that would make a big difference, right? But for the rest of us that just have old-fashioned books, 664, the opposing page. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season turn, and the time to learn purpose under heaven.
Oh, I just love that song. Makes me want to have Sukkot. It's funny. We have our most depressing book of the Torah, Ecclesiastes, and we have it on our happiest holidays. I think it's meant to balance us. I'm gonna bring Bruce up again to hold up our challah. He actually could eat the challah. And we'll say our blessing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. As you came in peace, may you leave in peace. May this be a joyous and happy holiday, and we're so glad you joined us tonight.